And then I ended up picking up a stick and smacking the bejesus out of that wasp nest.
Hello, CBS Human Resources? Yes, I'd like to report my partner. Well, he was telling a story about wasps, and I felt really uncomfortable and threatened by it because, well, I'm not a wasp, I'm a Catholic. What? This is Gerry from Pop Culture Minefield with Keith and Gerry. No, we don't work for CBS. Hello? Hello? Oh, she hung up. Well, I guess I don't get to report you today.
From the deepest, darkest recesses of Dangerous Nerds headquarters, Keith Moncrief and Gary Kissel.
Hey everybody, this is Keith.
And I'm Gerry.
And you are back for another exciting episode of Pop Culture Minefield.
Boom, baby! And boy, there was a lot of stuff this week. We talk constantly throughout the week, and there's just so much that we want to go over. And and I can't think what do you think is the single most important story that came out of this week?
Well, I'm not gonna play.
$10 says he's going for the black card.
That's right. All the way for it. Walter Mosley and the CBS writers' room.
Wasn't he the kicker for the Redskins back in the 80s?
Yeah.
No, that was Mark Mosley.
Yeah, that was Mark Mosley. Celebrated author. This is one of those situations where when you find out about it, you have one or two reactions. It's either what to
facepalm. It's absolutely a facepalm moment, and I got really upset because it took this to finally wake people up a little bit to what's going on behind the scenes on these shows.
Yeah.
And elsewhere, because this is what, and this is a shout out to the guys that we pay attention to, from Doomcock to Gary Beagle over at Nerderotic, to John Talks Star Wars, SC Reviews, all those guys, Midnight's Edge, for goodness sakes. Yeah. And basically, we watch those shows, we listen to what they're talking about, and they have their insiders, and we hear the argument every day about SJWs, and a lot of people are like, what are these SJWs, and what are they really doing? I don't understand. Well, this could or could not be one of those situations, because Keith and I talked about this, and it could very well be that this is a person that wanted to hurt Mosley because he was coming in for the third season, and the writing on Discovery is subpar at every turn.
Yeah.
Kurtzman himself did a terrible job writing. The science in a science fiction show that has prided itself on its science, had some of the worst science I've ever seen. So they bring in this guy who has, to help bring in some verisimilitude.
That's right. And
as a little bit of gravitas.
Yes, and which is important. Now, you got to remember, Mr. Mosley had already been working on another show called Snowfall.
What?
Yeah, I know. If you're not watching it, you should. But he decided to, go ahead and help out. I mean, it is Star Trek, right? So, to recap, he was in the middle of a conversation between the writers where they were talking about their experiences with the police, where he related a story where a racist cop, or should I say a cop, said some racist things to him. The interesting thing about telling that story is that one of the writers, got offended, called him into HR, and then that became the basis of the opinion piece that Mr. Mosley ended up writing, which then also spawned another piece by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who himself is not only an NBA player, a legendary NBA player, but is also a writer himself, and had just gotten done working on the Veronica Mars revival.
Which really shocked me, because I did not know that about him.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, the only thing I knew him outside of basketball was that he was on the Airplane movie.
Well, he's also written a couple of books, too.
I never read them. I apologetically.
Micro Homes. He wrote a Micro Homes book.
Get the heck out of here.
Yeah.
It just really, that just blew my mind, you know, because I always just thought of him as an athletics guy that, you know, got his way into Hollywood a little bit, made a Bruce Lee scene and fight scene, and studied under Bruce Lee, and I was like, wow, fantastic. I never knew this about him, and I was like, holy smokes, you know, it's, because there's like so little that I haven't heard at least a little bit about.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that.
Oh, yeah.
And then to find out something like that is just sort of like, holy smokes, I knew nothing about that. But it's amazing because, you know, I liked what he had to say, but this really does bring into question of two things. One, is this an SJW incident, or is this what you brought up, a hit job within the writer's room?
A way of taking someone out that is gonna basically be competition or worse for.
And it's funny that they would see him as competition when I'm telling you, anybody that was in that writer's room was just how they even kept their job blows my mind.
Yeah.
Every single person, CBS should have fired everybody.
Yeah.
They're just terrible, terrible writers.
Yeah.
And oh, but I like it. No, shut up. They're terrible writers.
Well, you're also
the concept might be good. The writing's terrible.
You're also talking a company in CBS that, in my personal opinion, probably did the worst job out of any company in that situation in celebrating the 50th anniversary of Star Trek.
Oh yeah, they didn't even try.
Yeah, I mean, BBC America had their 50th for Doctor Who, went all out. They didn't do everything you could do, but they did enough, especially on BBC America, where they had a lot of that different stuff they were showing. Hey, they did a better job than CBS, because for Star Trek's 50th, they just ran a marathon of different episodes and a few behind-the-scenes facts. CBS didn't even do that.
CBS did more for I Love Lucy's stuff than they did for this, and it's really CBS just.
Sad.
God, they suck right now. I really do. And I hate saying that because as much as we love those guys that I gave the shout out to,
yes,
they have a tendency of being kind of negative. And it's something that my buddy and I, we've talked about for a long time, that we're not just from opposing political views in life, and we still get along so well. And we wanted to bring a little bit of that to the internet to show that it doesn't always have to be so much negativity.
Yeah.
Because the guys that we do enjoy watching, they tend to get kind of negative.
Yeah.
And we want to try to find a positive, I hate the word spin, but that's sort of what it is. We're trying to find a
positive way forward, which is really what Star Trek is about. It's about taking a particular problem and finding a positive way forward. It may not always be...
It's always moving forward, which
yes,
is what Disney preached endlessly, is that, and they put it in the movie Robinsons.
Meet the Robinsons.
Meet the Robinsons.
One of my favorites.
Always, I love that movie. Always be moving forward. Don't stop. Don't look back. And I find that the guys that we love, and don't get me wrong, I'm not pissing on these guys. Because I love watching them. We subscribe and we watch them, talk about them regularly. Because they have valid points about things. But they have a tendency of always being kind of on the negative side of things. And I'd like to see people try to be a little more proactive and try to move forward.
Yes.
And if you've got to leave something behind, leave it behind. Because I'm honestly feeling that way about Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the point anymore?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna piss and moan about it. No, I'm not happy about it. Yeah, I'm a proud member of the Fandom Menace, but I am not going to participate in the constant shitting on everything because it brings me down. I don't want to be negative. I want to find something to be positive about. And J.J. Abrams, I love your glasses. Cute hair. I hate the box story. Stop talking about it.
Look, I do wish him a lot of luck in his Warner Brothers deal. I hope that we can continue the positive momentum with the DC related films that they have going on right now prior to JJ going there. I just think that, as Gary's been saying, there are better ways to talk about this. Again, nothing against Nerdrotic or any of the other people that we have mentioned that are in the Fandom Menace.
I think the one that's the most negative is Doomcock. But that's sort of his...
That's his thing.
That's his thing.
That's his thing. And he's got a lot of of viewers. And yeah, he is funny.
He's also funny as hell.
He's cool too. I'd like to basically get my own mask too, but that wouldn't work.
Is that how we should do this show?
What, with masks?
I actually told him, I said at one point, because like he'll get on the phone with me, I swear to God, he'll do an entire episode on the phone with me. And I'm sitting there going, we're not recording this. And you're saying gyms. And it's like, I need you to start recording these things. Just record you just ranting about something, and I'll throw up a cartoon, because that's what I do for a living. I draw. So I'll throw up a cartoon of you, and I'll even animate the mouth.
I do rant a lot. I will admit that.
You rant just as much as me. Because I always feel like I rant a lot, and it's like we're just two guys in our 50s that just are pissed at everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
trying to positively find a way out of that anger.
I don't think it's anger so much as just frustration.
This week, I was angry.
Really?
Yeah, well, because I told you, I said, it's not just what happened to Mosley. It's this whole thing, because it's the same stuff with Dave Chappelle, and to a smaller extent, Bill Burr, which I don't understand, because what he had to say was just as corrosive as anything Dave Chappelle had to say.
Yeah.
But he, on his show, his new Netflix special, actually had somebody heckle him. And it was caught on camera. And he just slam dunked these guys. Showed them what, first of all, that's not what I asked you. And I love Bill Burr. I love corrosive comics that are kind of funny, mildly mean-spirited.
Yeah.
But do it with this, like, grandfatherly love, not dad. When dads get mean like that, they're just mean.
Yeah.
But when grandpa does it, it's sort of like, hey, grandpa, stop it. You laugh and then you go, okay, I've had enough. That's Bill Burr, that's Dave Chappelle. And I love that they released within a week of each other.
Yeah.
And of course, people are just, hounding Dave Chappelle. And, but nobody is attacking Bill Burr yet. Not that I'm aware of. Only on his actual episode did they do it.
Yeah.
His special. But then you go back and I was pointing out other people that have it's really bothered me the way people are getting attacked.
Yeah.
Left and right for just having a view that's not yours. It's not yours. This is my view. And I'm not going to hate you for your view. But boy, oh boy, if I say certain things that I feel, and I've been attacked for some of the things I believe, and I'm like going, you're crazy.
Me too.
And I had somebody do it to me on my page last week. And my response was, I tried to be polite just to make sure I understood where he was coming from. And once I understood that he was a complete moron, I just said, okay, you're stupid and you just used a lie to try to tell me something, criticizing something that I care about, and you used a lie, a blatant lie. And a bunch of people were like, we don't want to jump into this fight. I went, no. I'm removing him from my page. I don't need negative people on my page.
Yeah.
It's like, if you want to discuss something, discuss it with me privately. If you try to take it up on my personal page, you're just a showboat and you're trying to one-up me. And I dislike that. I automatically am repulsed by that, and I tend to block. And I'm mean. I don't block them from my page. I block them from viewing shit on my page. And it's like, if you don't have the behavioral training from childhood that we have, growing up, in the kindergartens that we went to, first grade,
yeah.
we were learned you know, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it. And when you post on your page, if somebody attacks you, I would like be the first one there, and I don't care what it's about, to defend you, because this is his page. It's not your page, it's his page. He gets to say what he wants on his page. And you don't.
And usually, you know, me, I just like commenting on dumb mistakes. And again, this week...
Like this week was...
X-Men Dark Phoenix.
I've tried to watch it 3 times, and I keep... Nope, I can't do it, and I keep hitting the X. The X out of the browser. It's like, nope.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I have massive amounts of respect for the actors and the crew that worked on that film, and just like with Star Trek Discovery, I got nothing bad to say about any of that. The costuming people, the hair and makeup people, the visual effects, everything top notch. But it all, for me, comes back to writing.
Well, there is some bad stuff on the effects department, but I don't think it was the effects guys that were at fault. It was whoever was in charge.
Yeah.
Where they're out in space. They've left the gravity of Earth, and their hair is still neatly in place.
Yeah, their hair is all neat. None of the X-Men are wearing any type of suits or helmets.
Not until the scene with Nightcrawler where, what's his name, Quicksilver, duct tapes a helmet on him. I'm like, oh, finally, somebody thought that was important. But then, what's-her-name goes right over there, Jean Grey, goes right over into the space shuttle with nothing. It's like, okay, you showed it was important to put a space helmet on Nightcrawler, but don't worry about Jean Grey. Oh, boy.
And again, my big question really is, why didn't Nightcrawler just also take Quicksilver with them when he went back?
Yeah, that made no sense. What else was it I made fun of when we watched that scene? I was just like, I'm like, what the hell? I was just like, there was like every few seconds there was a what the hell moment. And I'm like, why the hell did they do that?
I made fun of the 0G, or not the zero, but the G-forces.
Oh yeah, they're traveling outside the Earth's atmosphere, and they're all just sort of sitting around going, hey, what's going on? No, that's not what happens. Your head's planted against the back of the thing, and your face gets pulled back. But okay, you know.
I guess having a mutant gene just, you know.
You're not affected anymore by gravity. Earth surely bounds. So, but going back to J.J. Abrams and the impact on Star Trek, he had a great 5-point plan that would save Star Trek and make every fan in the world happy, where all of these problems would just simply go away if they do this.
If they made me the head of CBS, I have a 5-point plan that would pretty much put Star Trek back, but keep everybody happy. Everybody be happy.
Including people that would no longer be doing their jobs.
Yeah. Like, for instance...
not that they were doing their jobs.
Alex Kurtzman. Look, he has a rock-solid contract with CBS. 5-year contract, of which he's getting ready to work on year 3 right now. Now, because of that contract, CBS can't fire him without basically making him a millionaire. So if I were in charge of CBS, what I would do to extricate him away from Star Trek would be to just offer him a brand new 5-year deal, okay, where he could develop television and film for either All Access, the CBS network, or, since now everybody's been reunited, both Paramount and CBS are now a part of the same company again, I'd also even make the deal for Paramount to allow him to develop whatever he wants over the next 5 years for any of those, with an additional raise of about $200 to $300 million on top of everything, if
he'll leave CBS's Star Trek alone. I knew where you'd go with that.
Now, after that, and I'm pretty sure Kirkman would take it.
No, you'd have to be crazy. Not just a bad writer, but crazy.
Yeah. First phone call I would make would be to Brian Fuller. And I would just ask him, it's like, is there anything or any way I could, convince you to come back and take this over, take it on? And I would tell him, I would guarantee whatever you wanted to do with Discovery, you could do. If you wanted to just go ahead and start all over again from the very beginning, we can do that. If you want to go ahead and take it over and just retool the heck out of that show, we can do that.
Amen.
And we'd get it done. And then I would tell him, in order to guarantee that you will have no more problems from here on out, I'm actually going to hire somebody to take Alex Kurtzman's job. Because if you don't remember, Alex Kurtzman is the guru of all Star Trek.
Now, I know who my first pick would be Ronald D. Moore.
Yes, your first pick would be Ronald D. Moore. My pick for that job would be J. Michael Straczynski.
Which I agree, that's a really good pick.
He is a massive Star Trek head.
What about Akiva Golds?
Akiva Goldsman. You know what? I have just the job for him.
It's called Janida. Sorry, what they're called maintenance. What was it? Maintenance? One of those. It's not a janitor anymore. They don't call it that. It's what is that called now?
Custodial technician.
Custodial technician.
Yeah.
And because my dad did that shit in college.
Yeah.
And I've never had that job. I actually took jobs where I literally took shit off people. I worked in the medical field wiping old people's butts. It was unpleasant.
It would be great to be able to get someone of the caliber of J. Michael Straczynski to basically run everything Star Trek related.
Now, do you think that Mosley would come back? If those guys...
I think J. Michael Straczynski would probably like to have Mosley on staff.
Yeah, I would too.
And it'd be a better writer's room,
Well, because there would be actual writers in there.
Yeah. That's for certain.
Because this has been the breakdown CBS has had with two of its reboots that they did. Is they hired people who were hacks that didn't know shit about writing. One was an unknown female stand-up comic who'd never really written much of anything to do Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
And now they did get some guys in there that were almost like script doctors to try to fix some of the stuff, but really the damage was done. It's like just terrible writing.
Yeah.
And it's like CBS, I don't know if they're capable of learning sometimes.
They are. I think with the changes that have occurred since Sherry Redstone's...
Now Sherry is a very sharp, dude. She's a sharp dude.
A sharp lady.
She is a sharp lady, and it was yours and my hope that she would be the one to step in to put back together what her father and Dick had pulled apart. Moonves.
Oh yeah, Les Moonves. Again, and I believe that Sherry Redstone has it right. If you're really going to put everything back together, you got to get Star Trek right. And
because Star Trek's not going to make them money unless it's done correctly.
That's right.
They've been just hemorrhaging money.
So now you've gotten rid of Kurtzman. You brought back Brian Fuller. You brought in J. Michael Straczynski, so that's 3. So what, pray tell, would the other 2 be?
Of his 5-point plan.
Well,
William Shatner. No. Stop me. Got to get this done.
I would go ahead and put together a contest. I'd get together with J. Michael Straczynski.
I love this. This is such a George Lucas move.
And I would put together a contest for all of the filmmakers who like to make their own Star Trek.
And this would completely make null and void that stupid taking the fans to court shit.
That's right. So what I would do is I would say that a year from now, really 2 years from now, Star Trek will be celebrating its 55th anniversary, okay? So why not have a contest where eventually we'll get it down to like the final 5. And then from that final 5, we'll have the fans vote to see which one of the 5 is the best.
Yeah.
And then the winner will win.
Fan films.
Yeah. And then the winner will win between $1 and $1.5 million to be able to turn that into something bigger.
For CBS.
For CBS.
Yeah, see, that's clever.
And then
But all we had to do was make that first step to reunifying CBS and Viacom.
That's right. And as a company, they will reap and be better for it because it will help CBS.
Okay, that's number 4.
And
what's number 5?
Oh, number 5. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me. Something that I, for years, had been saying that they should have done back when they still had the entire cast of the original series around. As everyone got older, it became obvious that the ability to be able to make new movies was difficult for them, especially with certain members of the cast that were having health problems and other things. And I was that guy that was saying, hey, you brought back, in a sense, the television series and transformed the television series into a series of films. Well, why not just do the same with animation and make an animated motion picture using the original characters? And at the time, you still had the entire original cast around. It would have been easier to get them to record stuff. Just think about with like the Disney level talent, or maybe hiring out, like, say, hiring out DreamWorks back when they broke free, or any major.
It's similar to what the BBC does.
Yeah.
When they do some of the Doctor Who audio things, and then they convert some of those into animated.
That's right. But if you make a major animated film,
And they got no money at the BBC.
I know it. If you do it in sort of like a Disney type style, or just a 1 hour major event animated extravaganza, it would take, if you're really going to make it correctly and make it look good, it's going to take at least 3 to 4 years, probably 5 years to get it all right. But to me, that's no biggie. Do it. Take your time. Make it the way that it should be made. And you'd have a classic movie on your hands that everybody can enjoy.
And I'd even considered at one time, writing fan letters to tell them. I said, look, you've got the original Saturday morning cartoon. You could update that cartoon because you've got the original actors' voices, and imagine a higher quality of animation.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, look, you still have
Paramount has the rights to that one.
That's right. You still have the original cast of all of the other Star Trek series, from Next Generation all the way to Enterprise.
Yep.
Everybody's still alive. You can go ahead and make a mass animated film to feature all those characters in one major motion picture.
And I remember you also saying something about if you had a say, that one of the first calls you would make would be to Anson Mount.
Oh yeah, my final thing would be to just say, as far as I'm concerned, Anson Mount, you've got your spin-off series.
And I'm telling you, I don't care how people feel about Discovery and how doubtful we are of how good Picard's going to be. You put Anson Mount in a show, and I don't even care if they bring Peck along.
Yeah.
Peck is a good actor. He's a good actor. But he doesn't look like Spock to me. But
you give him great writers. You give
him playing a good Spock. And I'm telling you, that show will win everybody back.
All of that.
We will shut the hell up.
All of that would not only bring Star Trek back, it'd be great for CBS, it'd be great for Viacom, it'd be great for everyone. So look, Viacom, Sherry Redstone, everybody, you're free to use any and all those ideas, and if you want to, you can hire me, because I've got a few more. But seriously, if you just want to just use those ideas, those would be great. But I would do it in that order. Just take care of Kirkman first, and everything else will be easy. And I'm telling you, bring Brian Fuller back. You could retool Discovery and fix all of the problems. And again, all those people that are Discovery fans, we're not talking about getting rid of any of the actors, at least as far as I'm concerned. If I were in charge of CBS, everybody could stay. We're just going to retool the show so that
basically you either follow along or you voluntarily get the hell out of the way.
You can
what is it we used to say in the Army? Lead, follow, get the hell out of the way. but actually take initiative. And people either slough off and go on about their lives, or they stay for the duration and do the job that you tell them to do.
That's right.
And if you start doing that and get somebody in there that actually knows how to be a good leader, and some of the names that we've bantied around already are those kinds of guys.
And I guarantee you, I think we'd be able to find our way forward with at least one more Kelvin movie to at least finish off everything and say goodbye to all those actors.
I wonder, if it wouldn't be better just to bring those guys to TV.
I don't think they would. Yeah, I don't think.
Well,
they would
I think some of them would.
Zachary Quanto would do it. I think he would do it, but I don't know about Chris Pine. I don't know.
If you did it as a 6-part miniseries per season, it would be like shooting a film, really, for him.
Well, for Netflix. He's already done a Netflix movie.
I like his work. He did a miniseries for TNT, I think it was, based on the true story of the daughter of the
Black Dahlia.
Yeah, the Black Dahlia doctor.
But the thing is, he did that with Patty Jenkins, who had directed him in Wonder Woman. And that would be my other thing. I would just
get some damn directors like Patty Jenkins.
Yes, I would offer some major directors, or even directors who you haven't heard of.
See, this is something that we remember from our childhood.
Yeah.
Big name directors would do TV work.
Yeah.
And I mean serious directors.
You're spending the equivalent. Look, the thing about Star Trek Discovery that really, I think, burns me more than anything else is the fact that the amount of money per episode they're spending, and that the scripts do not match or even approach the kind of quality for the amount of money that you're spending. If you're spending $10 million
well, that's that whole hemorrhaging thing. It's like I worked for a company down in Atlanta that just hemorrhaged millions of dollars. And I just kept looking around like going, the first sign that you guys are screwing up is going to be the first round of layoffs. And I don't think it was like 3 months later, the first round of layoffs happened. I started looking for a job. I'm like, no, this ship's going down. Because you can spot it. And watching what they did was clear they were in trouble. And financially. Now, don't get me wrong. CBS is not Disney and it's not Amazon. Because it does have a lot of money, but it's not an endless source of it. And they're having now to front a lot of this money to pick up the pace. Money that they wouldn't have had to have done if they did it right in the first place.
That's right. And on top of that, doing all of these fixes that I suggest would pretty much solve a majority of the problems that they have with Netflix.
And with the fan base.
That's right.
Because, look, you can make all the Star Treks you want in the world. If you don't have the fan base with you, why are you doing it? You're just making mud.
That's right.
Because the fan base is who's going to watch your show, and they're going to get your numbers for your advertisements, and your backers.
And you don't have to get into this whole slippery slope of trying to use colorful language or trying to act all slick, trying to cover up for the fact that you're not as successful as you'd like to think that you are. Netflix knows what the actual numbers of Discovery are outside the United States. So really, all of what CBS has been trying to get by with is just trying to skirt around the issue of the numbers inside the United States.
Yep.
Because Netflix, I think, would be willing tomorrow to just tell everyone what the numbers are, and I'm pretty sure they are not good at all. So, but if you institute...
we heard rumblings about that shit early on.
Oh, jeez.
They were losing viewership. People were canceling their subscriptions.
Netflix would be begging for more Star Trek if you fixed it the way that we said. If you did and instituted all that, brought back Brian Fuller, had J. Michael Straczynski to run all of Star Trek, they'd be begging for more content beyond Discovery.
I want to go back to something that you alluded to earlier before the show.
Yeah.
Is that, because I said to you very specifically that, yeah, but you win those fans over for the new stuff, but they would never buy Discovery. They will never like it.
Yes.
And then he said,
we can fix it. There is a way to fix Discovery that will keep the current Discovery fans, but bring back all the fans who left. Look, once you get in real writers like Brian Fuller and J. Michael Straczynski and all the other people that you know, including people like Walter Mosley, who would and Nicholas Meyer, who again, he was a part of what they were supposed to be doing.
Yeah, that's why I bought into the whole thing.
Yeah, Nicholas Meyer.
When I heard Nick Meyer was involved, I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and Nick
what's
Meyer,
funny is it's not just Star Trek that I'm a fan of because of him.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote the book that became the movie that he was the writer-director on, The 7% Solution,
right.
which is, in my opinion, one of the only non-canonical Sherlock Holmes stories that was brilliant.
This is what basically Alex Kurtzman messed up. And by bringing in all this talent, as I keep saying, Netflix would bend over backwards and then some to help you get this out there. It would help with CBS All Access if you actually had its own portion of CBS All Access that I would call the World of Star Trek. An overall series that would allow us, based on an idea really that Brian Fuller had, which was to use the American Horror Story model of presenting for a complete season different stories set throughout the world and universe of Star Trek, where each season it would present something completely different. An all Klingon show for one season. A show set at Space Station K9.
Yeah.
A show set, say, in the immediate aftermath of the Dominion War.
Ooh, that would be neat.
Yes. Yeah. And there are all different ways. Heck, I'd like to see really a show set now dealing with the aftermath of Assignment Earth.
I kind of wish that we had gotten the Gary 7 series that we're supposed to.
I know.
Yeah, that's how big of a nerd I am. I pulled that name right out of my ass.
Gary 7. See, all he heard was Assignment Earth. He got Gary 7 out of it.
Hell yeah. I was so excited, as a kid that we might get this show, and then it never happened.
And the thing about that idea that Fuller came up with, the original pitch, was that any of these could also be parlayed, depending on the public response, into its own series. Whoops.
Yeah. And a lot of fans are very pro the idea of a Worf series.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to see Worf. Michael Dorn, first of all, one of the sweetest guys. I know he doesn't remember me. I met him like twice, and just the sweetest guy.
He's just majorly cool.
Yeah. And when I remember finding out that, like, after he made his fortune, that the only thing he spent money on was a pinball machine and a new car. Everything else was the same shit that he owned before. And It wasn't even a fancy car. It was like a used car that he bought.
Priorities.
Well, it was also his upbringing.
Yeah.
Be frugal. Always, because you never know when it's going to go away. So don't overspend. And I was like, oh, I admire that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to see a Worf series. And of course, if we do Worf, it has to be the correct Klingons.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, if I were in charge, we'd cure a lot of those problems. You wouldn't have a lot of the
blue,
differences
clunky Klingons.
Now, I would make a place for them.
Or talk like they've got fingers in their mouth.
And again, I would go ahead and just do what was the original plan anyway, which was to have the Kelvin universe really tie into Discovery, because Discovery was originally meant to be a part of all of that, but outside of the Star Trek universe that you and I know. So it wasn't really a part of what they were doing, and that's fine. I wouldn't say that Discovery would be set outside of everything. After we retooled it, it would fit comfortably inside of everything that had been done.
Yeah.
And everything would make sense. And you could still keep all your favorite actors from Discovery doing what you like to see them do in every episode of the show. So really, it's win-win for everybody.
Everybody goes away happy.
Hey!
Hey, Pasquale.
Just like he said.
As that nun used to say to me at Montfort Academy, Testadora escuch. which meant something to the akin of "Shut up and listen, knucklehead." I guess now we'll just go to our commercial break, and we'll be right back. Thanks for sticking around, guys. And now we're going to go to our favorite segment.
You mean?
Yeah, I do mean.
It's Gamer Girl!
Gamer Girl!
From her gothic lair, Game Girl host D.D. Crowley.
Hey everybody, my name is Dee. Welcome to this week's Game Girl. Just about a week ago, the Blair Witch game was released, and I, as a fan of the franchise, well, as a fan of the first movie, I was super excited. I'm not here to talk about the game itself. I have opinions, but I won't be talking about them. What I do want to talk about is something that I noticed in the game and other people noticed in the game, and it is your companion. So today, I wanted to talk about some of our favorite four-legged and furry companions from a multitude of games, not just the Blair Witch. First up, I'm of course going to be talking about Blair Witch, and your furry friend and companion in that game is a little puppers called Bullet. Bullet was given to you by the police department when you were going through a really hard time, and so during your search for Peter Shannon, he is there by your side, and if he gets too far away from you, you kind of start feeling a little crazy. He helps you to find objects, he helps you to find your way, he tells you when there are enemies around, you know, if you hear him growling, you know that there's something nearby. He's just a good friend to have. And I was watching some gameplays and they're like, oh, there's a puppy in this? 10 out of 10. Love this game already. And many of them were talking about, you know, if they do anything to this dog in this game, I'm going to storm right in there and, you know, punch him right in the face. I don't know. But Bullet is a character that you immediately love. And he is a very good companion. He's not one of those NPCs and companions that kind of get in your way and you're just like, get out of my way. He's actually very useful. And how you treat him, what's interesting is how you treat him throughout the game will influence what kind of ending you get. Now, the endings aren't drastically different. It's not that much of a difference. But just, you know, if you give your dog all his treats, will change how your dog sees you in the end. So, treating him well versus treating him not well, although their guidelines of what treats them well. If you don't give him all 3 snacks, then you know you hate your dog. I don't know, but yeah. So Bullet is the first one we wanted to talk about. He's a good boy. Now next is a game that came out a couple of years ago. I just started playing it because I'm obviously behind. Far Cry 5. So both in Far Cry Primal and Far Cry 5, you have furry companions. Now in Far Cry Primal, you're a beastmaster, so you can get anything from wolves to bears to saber-toothed cats. My favorite is I think it's called the Bloodfang saber-toothed cat. And you know, you get to pet them and feed them raw meat, and like you'll pet his face and it's covered in blood and you're like, oh, it's a good boy. But fantastic. I mean, some of the best companions in video games I've ever seen have been the animal version, like the animal companions. So Far Cry Primal, that's a really good one. Far Cry 5. Now, if you haven't played Far Cry 5, which everybody has except for me, but I'm playing it now. But in Far Cry 5, you're a rookie who is sent to arrest a cult leader who's kind of taken over the area by the name of John Seed. Obviously, it doesn't go well, and now you are on the run from John and trying to help the resistance, which is people of the town who are sick and tired of the cult being there, and so you are helping them to fight back against his 3 children and John himself. And along the way, you can get companions that are specialized in, sniping, in explosives, planes, things like that. And the very first one you get is a little dog named Boomer, and Boomer is a prize-winning dog. He's a good boy, and his family was killed by the cult members. And so when you find him, he's laying beside his family, which is really, really sad. But then he follows you, and he's a really good boy, and he will sniff out the enemies and mark them so you can see where they are, how many they are, and he can slip in and out pretty easily because, he's a dog. Nobody, sees him as a threat. Then when the fighting starts, he'll bite a leg or 2. But the only problem with Boomer is that he goes down pretty easy because they have guns, he has teeth, and you have to rush in and revive him, because if you don't, then there is a cooling time where you have to kind of wait to bring him back as your companion, and you have to pick something else. But in terms of most adorable companions ever, Boomer is definitely right up on the list. And the last one I want to talk about is from Fallout 4, and that is, of course, dog meat. Dog meat is, like Far Cry 5, is your first companion that you get in Fallout 4. This is a tongue twister, I tell you. He is the first companion that you get in Fallout 4. As you are making your way, I think you find him at the Red Rocket Station nearby. Oh gosh, it's your home base. Is it Sanctuary? Or am I thinking of The Walking Dead? It's been many years since I played. I think it's Sanctuary. You find him at the first Red Rocket Station that you come across. When you, I think that's where you find him when there's a bunch of the mole rats. But he helps you, and you can bring him on board, and he'll run with you and attack things for you, and tell you when there's danger. And the very best part about this is that you can actually put armor on dog meat. So like you can put a little hat on him, like a little armor hat, and put armor on his little furry body, and it's just the cutest thing. Now, and the best part is that he doesn't talk incessantly like the super mutant or that journalist Piper. Constant. It's constant talking. Now, this isn't, of course, a comprehensive list of the best furry friends that we can take along on our adventures. There are plenty of others. I mean, not just dogs and cats, but horses. I mean, you got to think of how important a horse is in Red Dead Redemption 2. You have to take care of your horse just like you have to take care of yourself. Catching and taming. I mean, it's animals in video games have gotten so much more intricate now than they ever have been before, and they make better companions than the actual people in the game. And I just wanted to kind of give them a shout out because, we talk a lot about, great companions like Elizabeth in BioShock Infinite or Ellie in The Last of Us. Great AI companions. You don't always get great AI. I'm looking at you, Sheva, from Resident Evil 5. But in terms of companions, the animals tend to be some of the best in the bunch. And with the release of Blair Witch, kind of proving that and proving how much that gamers love seeing animals in video games, I want to give them a little bit of a shout out. But this one's a little bit shorter than the others and kind of more rambly, but it was kind of just on the spot. I was just thinking, I'm like, what do I want to talk about? And I just thought about Bullet and how cool he was and how awesome it was to, that's the best part of the video game. That's what people talk about is how great Bullet is in Blair Witch. So thank you guys so much for watching. Next week we'll be talking about GoldenEye and some James Bond games, which I know nothing about, so it'll be an adventure. But I will see you guys next week. Thank you guys so much for watching, and get prepared for spooky season. You know I am. I'm going to bring you some horror themes coming up soon. I will see you guys next time. Bye.
That's another great segment from D.D.
Thank you, D.D.
And if you like what we have to say, do not forget to hit the like button and the bell, okay?
Yeah, and comment. Because, one of the things that we just talked about, we talked about doing some movie reviews. What kind of movies would you, right now, what movie would you like to have us review?
Bambi versus Godzilla.
Ah, yeah, that was on with Hardware Wars.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because it came on the same thing when you rented it.
Yeah, we're both so old.
Yeah, we know shit like that. And with that, roll the credits.
Y'all come back now, you hear?